it turns into this situation where you're being paid interest upon interest upon interest. So instead of setting a monthly amount that you're willing to pay and letting that salesman work his dark magic and lock you into a financial mistake, set a total max price. But it's one day. You don't need to be paying for it for years to come. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to Erin Talks Money. Your 20s can be such a wonderful time in your life. You're young, you have the independence to do whatever you want, and you have a first real income that you can support yourself with. Prior to this point, you probably just had a string of odd part-time jobs that you just used to pay the couple bills you had. But in your 20s, that's when people start to make their first big choices in life. You graduate from college, you get your first full-time job, you rent your own place, and perhaps you even get married. Your 20s can be a wonderful time of true independence, but also true responsibility. And for the first time, you're going to be faced with a lot of big money choices. And the very best thing you can do is to start your life off on a good financial footing. Because if you make mistakes in your 20s, they can haunt you for decades to come. So in this video, I want to go over some of the top 6 money mistakes I see people make in their 20s with the hopes that if you hear about them, hopefully you will not go make them as well. Before we dive right into it, please give this video a quick thumbs up and a like, as it really does help support the channel. The first money mistake I see is people taking on debt to elevate their lifestyle. This seems like the very first thing people do once they get a job. They start spending. Gone are the days of college frugality. After all, the average income of a recent grad in America is about $51,000, and if you're used to part-time minimum wage pay, that can seem like a lot of money. But chances are you have your share of bills. It's rent and student loans, perhaps a car, and you may quickly find that $50,000 does not stretch as far as you imagined it would. So that's when many 20-year-olds, or people from any age group for that matter, turn to credit cards. Don't have the cash to pay for that vacation with all of your friends? Charge it, because you don't want to be the only one not going and miss out on all the fun. Same goes for decorating your new place or upgrading your wardrobe. You justify it by saying, of course I need a new couch for my place, or I need to dress like everyone else in the office. So what's the big deal with charging it to your credit card? If you can afford that small monthly payment and you get to live in the here and now and enjoy life, it seems like the best of both worlds. Well, the big deal is that debt can be the biggest deterrent to building wealth. And also, debt can be a really big hole that is very hard to dig yourself out of, especially when the average credit card debt is sitting at a rate of 15%. That's a high interest rate working against you. As we can see, it is very typical for the average credit card debt to be increasing over people's 20s, and that's not a good thing. What the very best thing you can do is to put on your credit card only what you can afford to pay off at the end of the month. Your future self will thank you. Don't carry a credit card balance. Don't elevate your life and supplement yourself with credit card debt. The second money mistake is one that I see a lot, and I talk about a lot on this channel because I continue to see it, and it's not just 20-year-olds. It is waiting to invest. Yes, many 20-somethings do put off investing because, after all, it's very hard to think about saving for your retirement when you just landed your very first job. I get it, but waiting to start investing can drastically hurt your ability to build wealth. The way compound interest works is that it needs time, and a lot of it. You don't need a lot of money to build great wealth, but you do need time. Now, the way compound interest works is kind of like magic. You first put money into an account, that's called your principal, and then you're paid interest on your principal. Well, given a little bit of time, you're given another interest payment, and that interest payment is given on your principal plus the previous interest payment. So with time, it turns into this situation where you're being paid interest upon interest upon interest, and it begins this snowball effect where your money really takes on a life of its own. But you do have to get started for this to happen. Yes, compound interest is a magical thing, but you have to get started in order to take advantage of it. You have to get started investing. Think the Nike motto, just do it. If you were to start investing at the age of 20, putting away $200 a month every single month until you turn 65, you would retire with a net worth of about $1.3 million. That's a huge amount of money. And if you're putting away $200 a month, $200 is not a lot. Now, if you waited just 10 years and started investing at 30, putting away that same $200 a month until you were 65, you would retire with a net worth of just north of $500,000. The cost of waiting is huge, and in this case, it's almost $800,000. That's a big deal. Here's another graph that demonstrates the cost of waiting. You would do yourself a great favor by simply starting to invest when you are young and when you have time on your side. Don't let those years go by without putting your money to work. And consider this, the #1 financial regret of older Americans is not having started saving sooner. Learn from their mistakes. Don't put off your saving. Don't end up with the same regret. The third money mistake I see is not having a budget. Now, this is a natural follow-up to the previous two. When you start making money, it's important to establish a budget. After all, the simplest definition of a budget is telling your money where to go. Without a budget, you may find that you've spent your entire paycheck and you literally have no idea where it went. That's why budgets matter. 1, they give you information about your money habits, and 2, just as importantly, they give you greater control of your money. A budget should not feel restrictive or burdensome. A budget helps you to spend with purpose. Budgets help you to build wealth, to tackle debt, and reach any other financial goals you may have. Budgets are powerful. So powerful, in fact, that I have done an entire video on them, and I will link it down below in the description box if you're interested. Money mistake number 4 is treating yourself to a luxury car. This is literally the most common purchase I see 20-somethings make when they land that first job. I don't know why, but every 20-something feels the need to run off and buy a new car the minute they get that first paycheck. For some, it's seen as a reward for all their hard years of studying in university, and for others, it's just that they finally have money to call their own, and so why not treat yourself? Now, yeah, you really may need a new car or a newer used car if your high school hand-me-down really is on its last leg. But that doesn't mean you need a luxury vehicle. The biggest mistake you can make is simply buying too expensive of a car. And let me tell you, those car salesmen are evil geniuses. Seriously, they will find a way to make any car fit into your budget. If you give them a monthly payment that you are comfortable with, they will extend the length of the loan, they'll offer it in lease form, they will find a way to make it work. And did you know that car loans can extend anywhere from 2 years to 7 years and beyond? Do you really want to be paying on your new car when it is 7 years old? There is no way you're having all those new car feels when your car is 7 years old and has over 70,000 miles on it. So instead of setting a monthly amount that you're willing to pay and letting that salesman work his dark magic and lock you into a financial mistake, set a total max price that you're willing to spend on a vehicle. And ideally, you'd be able to pay this off in about 3 years or so. That way you're not paying on it for years and years to come. So this may mean that you don't get a brand new car, or maybe you get a slightly used car, or maybe you continue to drive your older vehicle for just a little bit longer. The point is, a car is a really big purchase and you don't need to rush into it. And remember, you set your price. Don't let that salesman set it for you, because if he does, he's going to set it far too high. Money mistake number 5 is spending too much on rent. And this is just something that happens with a lot of 20-somethings, especially those fresh out of college. They are done with college life. They're done with dorms and roommates and cramped university quarters. They just want their own space. I get it. And now that they have decent pay, they say, why not splurge a little? Let's get a place with a view and lots of amenities, and perhaps in one of the city's hippest neighborhoods. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting a nice place to live, but remember, 30 days goes by fast, and housing is likely to be your greatest expense. After all, being that you just came off campus living, Maybe splurging for your own place is enough of a luxury. Maybe you don't need that view, or you don't need the apartment with all of those amenities. Or maybe you do splurge a little for that nicer place, but maybe you take on a roommate to keep your housing costs down. Keeping your housing expenses down makes every other area of your financial life easier. And odds are you're not even going to be home that much. You're working, you're going out, you're exploring your city. You don't need the nicest place. There's no reason to max out your housing budget and make your life unnecessarily hard from a financial standpoint. You can still have a wonderful life without having the most expensive place on the block. And money mistake number 6, going into debt for a wedding. The average American first gets married between the ages of 25 and 30. The average wedding costs about $30,000. And here's the real kicker. A full 33% of people report going into debt for a wedding. There's absolutely no need to go into debt to pay for a wedding. Yes, committing to someone for the rest of your life is a really big deal, but it's one day. You don't need to be paying for it for years to come. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a less extravagant, more budget-friendly wedding. After all, it's not the wedding that matters, it's the marriage. Do you really want to have this one massive party, or do you want to have a down payment for a house? Or do you want to go and take a trip of a lifetime? These are real alternatives. Or do you want to have an extra $600,000 in your retirement account, because that's what $30,000 could grow to over the course of 35 years. I'm not anti-wedding, not at all. I'm anti-spending ridiculous amounts on weddings. In fact, my own wedding cost anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000, and I thought it was absolutely wonderful. You don't need to go into debt to pay for a wedding. So what do you guys think? What do you think of these as the top 6 money mistakes that people make in their 30s? Are there any that you would add to the list? Let me know in the comments down below. My biggest advice is that the vast majority of all of these financial mistakes could be simply avoided with 2 simple tips. 1, create a budget and stick to it. 2, start investing. So that's gonna wrap it up for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a like and also hit that subscribe button so you get notified every time I post new videos, which is every Monday and Thursday. They're always about money, and I'm always trying to help you along your wealth journey. So I will be seeing you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye.